Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Off-Farm Income Podcast. Thank you very much for joining us here on our YouTube channel. Well, today in episode number 823, we are going to be speaking with Timothy James, chapter president from Afton Central School in Afton, New York. And I'll tell you what, we are going to hear a lot about service today. There's no question that he has a heart for service, and I think that's something that has been fostered or at least enhanced by his membership in his local FFA chapter, dealing with their local food bank, growing food for the school, for the food bank, and things like that at their chapter. And then what he wants to do after high school, a lot of service coming forward in this young man's life. Excited to share it with you, and we're going to get it started for you right now. Joining me today is Timothy James, and he is the president of the Afton Central High School FFA chapter in Afton, New York, and he's coming on to talk to us about his supervised agricultural experience and proficiency awards. So, Timothy, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming on.
Hey, happy to be here.
Well, good. I'm looking forward to speaking with you, and really enjoying getting to speak with folks back in the Northeast. I've been doing that this week, and enjoy hearing your stories of agriculture. So, thank you very much for joining me.
Glad to be here.
All right. Well, let's do this. I'd love to start off by just asking you a few questions about you. So tell me about you. Do you live on a farm? Do you live in town, or something maybe in the middle of those two things?
I live on a farm. We used to have a former dairy farm, and now we currently raise livestock on our farm. So we're also a livestock farm.
Okay.
So diversified livestock production has just been my whole life. So.
Gotcha. Okay. So how long has this farm been in your family?
As long as I can remember. We've been raised. It's always been a dairy farm, and it's kind of been all over Chenango County. My great-great-grandmother, she actually, I think that's where I got my raising chicken gene. She used to actually supply eggs for all over the county.
Okay.
Way back when, and dairy has always been in our family. And now that 20 years ago, we started livestock. So.
Okay. Okay, very good. So it was dairy. So 20 years ago, before you were born, you kind of moved away from dairy into livestock, or your family did. Do you remember the dairy part of it, or do you still do some of the dairy side of it?
Well, I'm still around dairy. I don't have dairy cows myself. I unfortunately have lost my dairy in a barn fire at one of my friends that I was in partnerships with that had dairy cows, and now that I've moved on to raising beef cows, goats, pigs, and chickens now.
Okay. So you had a barn fire?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
man.
Where I used to hold all my dairy cows.
Oh, okay. What happened?
Just freak accident, electrical fire, and unfortunately the farm got lost. And
oh man, did you lose livestock in that fire?
Yeah, I currently had. I had 9 milking cows there, and then I had a couple heifers, but they were at my other farm. But yeah, 80 head was lost in that fire.
Oh my goodness! Wow, that is devastating. So how old were you when that happened?
Oh, I was about 15.
About 15. Wow. I mean, that's early in life to go through a hard tragedy like that with your business, and then of course you care about your livestock too. So you double it with the loss of these animals you care for.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Geez, Louise. Well, so that was at another person's farm where you were partnered with them. Is that correct?
Yep, that's correct.
Okay. Interesting. Now, I had a brief chat with your mom. She said she's got her classroom set up out in a trailer. So, is your mom your ag teacher?
No, my mom. She was my ag teacher.
Okay.
I went to Walton until ninth grade, and she had better opportunities of, doing the same job that she was doing at Delhi, and just things were getting tough because I live in Afton, so it was, about an hour drive to school every day. And now that I of course live in Afton, and I'm a 5-minute drive from school, it got, about an hour to 2 hours of my life back,
Sure.
And, pay more attention to the animals.
Okay. And I'm looking here on the map, so it looks to me like where you live is kind of the center of New York, but just north of the Pennsylvania border. Does that sound right?
Yep, correct.
Okay. Yeah, very cool. Okay. Well, so what brought you into the FFA? Was it the fact that your mom was an advisor? Was it your interest in agriculture? Why did you join?
Well, I've always been inspired by FFA, and of course I have, my mother. She has always been inspired by FFA, so I wouldn't say it was more of a gentle push into the FFA. So, yeah.
Okay.
It's just always been a part of my life.
Well, I will tell you, I interview students from all around the country, and I've interviewed hundreds, and your story is not unique. There are plenty of people whose parents are advisors, and they've got that gentle nudge.
Yeah, it's these FFA moms are something else.
All right. Well, I mean, obviously, you've accomplished things. I mean, you've got your proficiency award from this last year. I'm sure there's more to it than that. And you're chapter president. How did you decide to become part of the officer team?
Well, I mean, Mrs. Gregory has done a lot for the FFA, and with the combining of everything, it just has become a blur for her. So I think that my ideas were very helpful. Like, she put me in charge of the help put me in charge with a Afton Food Bank, in charge of the crops, and because of the pandemic that's going on now, I've actually moved all of the planting stuff, and I am just doing a huge garden at my house, and percentages are going towards the food bank.
Oh, interesting. So. Okay. So,
and I also have built a greenhouse to help, with the maximum growth of tomatoes, peppers, lettuce, different types of crops.
Gotcha. Okay. Very interesting. So, your role as chapter president, I mean, you've taken a lot of responsibility with that at your high school FFA chapter.
Yeah, responsibility has been, being a farmer, being a farm kid, it's always been a part of my life, I have always been in charge of certain things. Not like the whole farm, but being responsible for feeding the animals, taking care of different things that need to be taken care of.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, you mentioned your FFA advisor's name. Would you mind just letting everybody know who that is for you? I always like to acknowledge our FFA advisors.
Mrs. Victoria Gregory, she is the Afton FFA advisor. She is in charge of not only the food bank, but the Afton School Fair, or Afton Fair, in the Afton School Fair as well.
Okay. Very cool. Well, thank you for acknowledging her. And Timothy, really quick, I want to acknowledge a couple of our sponsors, everybody. Of course, I want to mention Lacrosse Footwear. You can find them over at lacrossefootwear.com. Lacrosse Footwear is proud to support FFA by annually sponsoring 15 scholarships along with 100 jackets as part of the Give the Gift of Blue program. And of course, that makes us very proud to have them as a sponsor of this show. And we use their Alpha Range boots every single day. I just did this morning out feeding on our farm here in Idaho. And we hope you will be doing the same thing as well. You can find them over at lacrossefootwear.com. And then, of course, Powder River Livestock Handling Equipment. Just a huge fan of this company. I have been for many, many years, decades now, and so proud to have them as a sponsor. We use Powder River Squeeze Chute and livestock panels right here on our farm. I've been to the factory, seen how they're made. They're absolutely fantastic. They can hold up to reduce stress and reduce potential for injury for your large livestock. Definitely want to check them out. You can find them at powderriver.com, and please let your local farm and ranch retailer know you would like to see that Powder River green in their yard so you can buy the finest in livestock handling equipment. All right, well, Timothy, let's talk about your supervised agricultural experience. So what does it look like today? What are you doing now?
Our family currently runs a diversified livestock farm, and what that is multiple species of animals. So we currently raise goats, pigs, beef cows, and also poultry.
Okay. All right. And is there a business model to what you're doing with these different species of livestock?
Yes, there is. We sell commercially to as for meat, as supply meat to other people.
Mm-hmm.
I also sell eggs to farmers markets,
okay.
and also to just other people that come up to the door and say, "Hey, you got eggs?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
Okay.
And I also sell about 1,800 dozen a year.
Oh, wow.
So
1,800 dozen per year. So how many chickens do you have?
Well, I used to have over 300. Now I'd say about 175 maybe.
Okay. Wow. So how
it's hard to count.
Yeah, I totally understand. How big is your chicken coop?
Oh, I just currently extended it to get more growth out of it. You want to generally have about 3 feet per, cubic feet per chicken around
mm-hmm.
around that. Our back pen is probably 40 to 50 square feet, and then we also have a large run that we've added 2 different pens. So
Yeah, that is a bunch of eggs. Now, I've got a question for you. I always wonder this. We've got our own layers here on my farm in Idaho, and I'm looking for somebody to help me solve this mystery. When you've got a bunch of hens, and we don't have anything close to what you have, we have about 25 hens, how do you know which ones, how do you figure out who is not laying anymore and who is?
Well, you could also, if you watch watching the chickens move around, if you notice that some chickens, everybody wants to have, how the Walmart crops are all shiny and stuff like that,
uh-huh.
and, everything around, but the laying hens are generally the dirtiest ones, being in, the fresh shavings and stuff that have, the shavings all over them, so the ones that are actually working. And doing chores in the morning, you can notice with my chickens, mine are actually golden comets. They're golden comets, so they're
okay.
a cross, so they actually lay every 12 hours instead of every 24.
Oh, really?
So they lay more, and every time you think something's wrong with them because they're all laying down and stuff like that,
mm-hmm.
Coming into the morning, and then you throw scratch down, they go crazy because, with the laying of more eggs comes into more, groceries you have to give them. So.
Sure. Okay. Interesting. Okay. So you're looking, and when you're out there working, you're seeing the chickens that are actually laying, and then you can tell kind of by looking at them if they've got shavings that are kind of stuck to the feathers or whatever. They've been in there and they've been bedded.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, that's an interesting thing to try and figure out, because obviously you'd like to cull the non-layers out of your flock and then replace them, so you're getting more eggs, and that's been...
I rotate flocks every year.
Oh, you do? Okay, so you...
Yeah.
Okay, how does that... I'm sorry to keep cutting you off, but how does that work? Tell me how that works.
Well, we have different pens, so we buy them as pullets because we found that it's actually worth the money to spend a little bit extra for the pullets because I get them from Amish country.
Mm-hmm.
So it's, raising chicks, it is, fun to do, but I mean, unfortunately, they're not the hardiest at that age. So, the survival rate is way much lower.
Mm-hmm.
So we buy them as, pullets and rotate pens.
Okay, so how will that work? Well, do you butcher all of your existing chickens every year, then replace them with pullets, or what are we talking about?
So we have two different areas. So we have one area that we have the pullets, and they lay within 2 weeks of being on the farm.
Okay.
And then we raise with the older pens. And then when it's time to buy more pullets, we rotate the old ones out. They're still laying, but not as much, and they're getting bigger.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to package them. So we then sell them privately to other people wanting chickens.
Okay.
And then we just rotate the ones that we've bought previous to that pen.
Okay.
And then the new ones go into the new chicken pen.
Got it. So you've got your chickens confined, and you know the age of the chickens in each particular pen.
Correct.
Got it. Okay, that's a very smart way of doing that. Interesting stuff. Okay. All right. Now, you brought up a moment ago the Afton Food Bank, and obviously that's intertwined with your FFA chapter. Could you tell me more about how that works?
Well, I've also helped organize the Afton Food Bank. So what we did was have it more of a store, and I also donate chicken eggs there, and I also do 5 turkeys every year.
Okay.
And what it does is come out to a raffle because not everybody has, unfortunately, has the ability to cook a 30-pound bird.
Sure.
So, we do a raffle, so gets people into the door, and we do it very confidentially. So, it is, upsetting, with the food bank, but we, as its FFA chapter, have made it so it's more confidential,
Mm-hmm.
with getting, boxes every 2 weeks. So.
What do you mean it's upsetting at the food bank? What do you mean by that?
I mean, it's the food bank itself isn't upsetting. The call of families has just gone up 300%.
Okay.
With this coronavirus, so it's just not having the food going out to people, and it's just upsetting.
Gotcha. So what you're saying is that seeing all the people that are in need is bothersome.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Yeah, I understand. Okay, interesting stuff. So you're doing that, and then you're growing the crops for your FFA chapter as well?
Correct.
Okay. And so when we talk about the crops, what are we talking about here? Are we talking about vegetables and flowers and things like that? Or are we talking about crops that take up a ton of acreage?
Just vegetables and stuff like that, stuff
Okay.
that people could use. So lettuce, donate lettuce, and it
Uh-huh.
it also has gone to the school itself with the cafeteria.
Okay.
So fresh food to our students. So.
Oh, very good. Okay, and now all of this that you've been doing has led you to a proficiency award, correct?
This year I've won diversified livestock for New York.
Okay, so you were the state proficiency winner in New York for diversified livestock.
Correct.
Oh, great. Okay. Well, that's a heck of an accomplishment. Congratulations to you on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. So what's next for you? Obviously your school year is all messed up because of COVID and all of that. So are you going to have a virtual graduation or something like that, or is there any talk of you being able to get back for graduation?
I actually don't know the answer to that question. I should be able to find out tomorrow about that.
Oh, okay. Well, at least you'll know soon. So, and then what's next for you after graduation? What does life look like for you when high school's done?
I actually plan on joining the U.S. Army.
Oh, good for you. Well, thank you very much for your upcoming service. What inspired you to join the military?
I mean, seeing all, just, people, I've always been around people in the military, and my grandfather served,
Mm-hmm.
and I, unfortunately with, farms, there is debt, and I've always never wanted to be, under the water and student
Sure.
loans and all this. So, like, the military is very useful and very helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you have a particular area of emphasis or a job that you're interested in the Army?
I am interested to be an MP dog handler. So
Okay.
what that is like a canine unit, and
Mm-hmm.
if that it's a very hard job to come by. So what I plan on doing is going for MP, and then if that job is available, then I'll reclass.
Okay, very good. Very interesting. Well, so military police is interesting to you.
Hmm.
And do you have any thoughts of post-military career working in civilian law enforcement, or is this specifically for military?
Well, I mean, I'm not in the military yet, so I'm working on to signing the contract.
Uh-huh.
So going through my 5 years to see what what it's like, and if I absolutely love it, then stay
Sure.
in and retire early, and then retire from something else. But my optimum goal is to be a state trooper.
Oh, cool. Well, I have a tendency to do that. I'm sitting here going, well, you're 18, you're still in your senior year of high school, but I'm envisioning this pathway that's opening up for you, and I'm asking you to answer all these questions that you're probably going, hey, just give me a break, man. I haven't even signed the papers for the Army yet.
That's okay.
Well, that is great. Good for you, Timothy. I love the spirit of service. I did that myself, 15 years as a police officer, not in the military, but in law enforcement, and it's a very rewarding thing to do. So good for you. That is great. Well, before we
Thank you.
yeah, you bet. Before we finish up, I would love to ask your advice for other students out there. If there's somebody out there listening to this and they're thinking, what can I do in the FFA that's going to make an impact, like what you've done and what your chapter has done with your local food bank, what advice would you have for them?
Advice I'd have is to keep documents, and documents, with these, FFA projects, they are very important. Writing, your
Mhm.
proficiencies, and everybody's goal is to get their empire, to get their American degree, and it's very important to keep those documents
Mm-hmm.
and records throughout, their FFA experience, and also take lots of pictures.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Take a lot of pictures because there's memories that you're going to want to preserve, right?
Yep.
Yeah, very good advice. That's great. Well, Timothy, thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, it was a pleasure.
Well, thank you for joining us, everybody. Really appreciate you being here. Special thanks to Timothy James. And as always, enjoy your journey to the ultimate lifestyle business, agriculture.